Hello, and welcome to this week's Movie Math, where Doctor Strange 2 was so close to being in the top 10 opening weekends of all time. Oh boy, that had to sting. Whew! But is Doctor Strange 2 a huge hit? Well, it certainly is out at the gate, number 11 all-time openings. But it's too hard to tell how the film will do overall until we see that second weekend drop. A lot of surprises. I think the Rotten Tomatoes score, the cinema score, even the audience score on Rotten Tomatoes is lower than you would expect for a Marvel film. So, are we in uncharted territory here? Not necessarily, because this is very similar to Age of Ultron, which has a similar Rotten Tomatoes score and opening weekend. That's the number 10. So that's the pace bunny, that film. Age of Ultron fell 60% in its second weekend and got all the way to $1.4 billion, the 12th highest grossing film of all time. Both movies do feature iconic Marvel villains, the MCU versions of them, which both were not quite as good as we'd hoped, but still very, very compelling characters, and that's certainly very interesting. The MCU does have a villain problem, and some people felt that Wanda fixed that. Which is interesting. Although we can't talk about spoilers in movie math, but they have a lot of continued choices that they make with their villains. All right, so anyway, in its global debut, a single weekend, Multiverse of Madness is already at almost $500 million. So it would have to really take a nosedive next weekend to not join the $1 billion club. Too big to fail. That might be Marvel at this point. Nothing's ever too big to fail. Just look at Star Wars. Which is interesting. I'll be referencing Star Wars a little bit later in this video. But anyway, most likely Multiverse of Madness will make it to the $1 billion club before Top Gun Maverick even hits theaters at the end of the month. And certainly before it debuts on Disney Plus, as I've told you, is rumored to be in just 45 days. It's going to do it. Multiverse of Madness would have to drop like high 60s next weekend, or like 70% with a 7 in front of it. That would be shocking. That would be a real problem. Then you would be like, let's see what happens. Right now, it's headed for $1 billion. But while we wait for that second weekend drop, that very telling second weekend drop, we still have two fascinating things to discuss right now. Oh boy, they're fascinating. The ad campaign and the Raimi Cut. That's right, the Raimi Cut. Will this thing get traction? Let's see. All right, so the ad campaign. Kevin Feige said himself at the premiere that he feels, and that's, Kevin Feige does not like to publicly spar with, Papa Mouse. So for him to say this at the premiere, he must feel pretty cheesed about it. All right, so anyway, Kevin Feige said, because he doesn't have control over the campaign, I guess, because then he would be like, don't release that trailer or TV spot. He said they showed too much, which is interesting compared to Sony's No Way Home ad campaign, which showed hardly anything. I mean, Sony refused to acknowledge that Tobey Maguire and Andrew Garfield were in the movie. They didn't get posters. They didn't even get posters once the movie came out, which I'm still kind of upset about. I would have liked some sweet Tobey Maguire and Andrew Garfield posters. They didn't go on the press tour. They didn't go to the premiere. It was never acknowledged, again, even after the movie was released. I mean, there were leaks everywhere, but still, a lot of people were really on edge, nervous as to what they were going to get when they showed up at the theater, excitedly nervous. And I think those same moviegoers felt Multiverse of Madness would be a similar experience. It is, after all, performing at the box office level of an Avengers movie, not a solo movie. So is it doing so well on the strength of a promise that was not fulfilled? That's why we're in some weird box office territory here. What people were thinking, what surprises await us in this movie? I mean, if that's what they were showing in the trailers, what must they be saving for the movies? Turns out, not much. I mean, it's weird for this to be called Multiverse of Madness and not be that crazy. So I think that could hurt the rewatchability factor of the movie going forward, and I think it probably is what hurt the audience score. Only the third B-range cinema score that the MCU has ever gotten. Again, the MCU cameo bonanza is being saved for the upcoming Secret Wars, I hear, with the Russo brothers rumored to return. Marvel wants them back. They want to come back. All that's left is how much they're going to pay them. And I would pay them a lot. Because at this point, especially with what not only the Russo brothers movies, but what other people are able to deliver in their absence, which isn't as good, Bring back the Russo brothers. They not only know what they're doing in terms of story, but they know what to do in terms of action. The Russo brothers, fans themselves, know what fans want to see. They might be as much a secret weapon to the success of the MCU as Kevin Feige himself. Ooh, I like that. All right, on that note, let's talk about Sam Raimi. Sam Raimi's like, damn it. Although Sam Raimi has struggled himself in the latter part of his career. It's not like he's a home run machine. And to be fair, the Russo brothers also have not done so well outside of the MCU. Their action movies for Netflix are great. Extraction, although not directed by them, but they produced, was phenomenal. I'm excited about Extraction 2. I'm excited about The Gray Man. That's going to be fantastic, I think. But anyway, we're talking about Sam Raimi. So like Chloe Zhao before him, this is another established director not doing so good on Team MCU. It takes a special kind of director to do whatever Kevin Feige tells them. I don't think that's the case with the Russo brothers, but I think it's really supposed to be more of a team effort. And like Joss Whedon, Raimi found himself accused of mishandling a fan favorite female character. I think that's true. I think that's definitely true. But like Zack Snyder before him, this ain't Sam Raimi's cut. This is where things get interesting. I want to point out, though, that there, of course, I don't think any contention between Disney and Raimi. This is a business situation, and I'm looking at this from a business perspective. I think there's more money here. All right, and that's what Hollywood is. Is there more money here? There is. Not only is there the missing 40 minutes from Raimi's first cut, way back, the one that I told you didn't test very well and was super gory, Mordo got decapitated in the beginning of the movie, but over the weekend, I spoke to my source who'd seen the later version from earlier this year, and they said that 10% is still missing from this version. That was even cut down. What was missing? I was like, what's the 10%? They said more gore, more style. Oh, I like the style note. I like that a lot. Now, I'm not saying a Raimi cut would fix the story issues. I don't think it will. I mean, Raimi didn't watch WandaVision. He admitted it himself. There ain't nothing going to change that, except if he had a time machine. He's like, darn it, so stupid that he didn't do that. He'll never live that down. I hope that's a lesson to everyone making Marvel content going forward. As people have said, if we have to do the homework, you should really do the homework. All right. That's how the MCU is so successful, the interconnectedness of it all. But I do think with more gore and more style and some cameos that were definitely that were cut that could be added back in, I don't think they're going to add Deadpool back in. I think that they're being very careful about how Deadpool returns. But Balder, let's put Balder back in, right? I mean, I think that would distract us more from the story issues. We'd be like, this is so nuts, I don't even care that it doesn't make sense. That's what I think what they should have gone for. So why did Marvel cut down the film? Well, I think it's obvious. They wanted that sweet spot of the PG-13 rating. PG-13 movies make money. Although, people are even pointing out in the trades that, should this really be PG-13? Seems like an R. Now, unlike Snyder and Warner Brothers, as I said, Raimi and Marvel Disney are totally cool. They're all good. They love each other. And Kevin Feige, though, did say that Marvel would eventually make an R-rated movie, Deadpool 3. So how about that Raimi cut, right? At least add the 10% back in, maybe a little bit of that 40 minutes from before that. I think it's not only not a bad idea, I think it's a great idea. And just the kind of boost Bob Chapek and company would love for Disney+, which now has parental controls. What timing, I love it. We'll do a watch-along when Multiverse of Madness hits Disney+, but otherwise, I wouldn't see myself watching this again from a fan perspective. But a Raimi cut? Oh, I would really want to see that. I think that would do big business on Disney+. I mean, you saw all the attention the Snyder cut got over on HBO Max. Disney loves to do that to Warner Brothers. Would they do that? They'll be like, you know what? We have a cut too. Let's do it! That would be really funny. All right, and it would also help reassure fans that the MCU is serious about putting out R-rated content. They say they're going to do it, but so far, they have not. What do you think about Doctor Strange 2's potential total box office? What do you think that second weekend drop's going to look like? I know some of you are going to be like, 0, Grace. Some of your love for Marvel is inspiring, I think. I love that you love it so much. The ad campaign, what do you think of the ad campaign and how much they showed versus No Way Home? And then also, what do you think about a Raimi cut? Would you like a Raimi cut? It's good business. It's really good business. All right, especially with Disney Plus in the mix. Would I call it the Raimi cut? I don't know. That might be, that's really aggressive, but Kevin Feige's aggressive. All right, as for the rest of the top 10, there weren't a lot of moviegoers left over, as Doctor Strange 2 did have amazing demos. It did skew younger and male, though. The male thing is surprising. because Scarlet Witch is a co-lead and she's a very popular character. Interestingly, one of the best holds this weekend was Everything Everywhere All at Once, another multiverse movie, which has now passed 40 million domestic. For a movie like that, that's incredible. The Northman, though, another art house movie trying to go mainstream, that did not work out. And with just 51 million worldwide in 3 weeks, the $70 million flick, not including advertising, won't break even during its theatrical run. It'll have to do well in the ancillary market. Meanwhile, Sandra Bullock is trying to get to the century mark before The Lost City leaves theaters, and she's close. She might make it, something Fantastic Beasts will never do. Side note, for Mother's Day yesterday, which is why Movie Math is going up a day late, my family went to the Harry Potter flagship store here in New York City. I didn't expect much, but I was surprised about what an incredible experience it was. I felt like I went to a theme park for a few hours. And I actually spent a few hours in that store. Not just shopping. It's gorgeous in there. It has amazing merch. But they also have 2 virtual reality experiences, and I did one of them. I have to go back and do the other. It was so well done. And it was crowded in there. And it was Sunday and a Mother's Day. They say usually they have like a 2 to 3 hour wait, a virtual line to get into the store. Wow, Warner Brothers, this just underscored to me that Wizarding World is a franchise they cannot let fail. They must fix it. Again, maybe with a great HBO Max show like Disney Plus has done so much to fix Star Wars, right? That's the Star Wars reference there. I don't think Marvel is in Star Wars territory just yet, but I think that Fantastic Beasts is. I think that's the ticket. That's the ticket. All right, speaking of streaming, let's start off with Nielsen as always. Wow! Congrats, Moon Knight fans! In just its second week, with just 2 episodes, the show has moved up to number 3. That's very impressive, and it seems that many of you were right. People did watch this show. They just didn't talk about it very much until the end of the season with those final episodes. I'll be curious to see how high it gets. Will it get to number 1? I think there's a chance that it could. Besides Netflix's continued dominance here, Amazon has yet another show they managed to get into the top 10. The Outlaws from the UK came over from the UK. And Amazon, by the way, definitely becoming a force to be reckoned with in streaming. I'm very curious to see how The Boys Season 3 does on this chart soon. And then with its final episode, Hulu's The Dropout actually moved up to 9th place. That's fantastic. A good sign for Amanda Seyfried's awards prospects. And I'm so happy people actually watched that show. It was a really good show. I liked it a lot. As for movies, Encanto and Turning Red, still number 1 and number 2. What a 1-2 punch from Disney. They dominate movies. Well, they don't have the whole chart like Netflix has the whole chart of shows, but their numbers are so strong. It's impressive. They do very well in the movie space. But Netflix has Shrek, the return of Shrek. That's doing very well. And I'm hearing rumors, by the way, there might be fresh Shrek movies coming soon to theaters from DreamWorks. And this might be a test which is going quite well. Sing 2 is also very strong on Amazon, just as it's been strong in theaters. That has a great rewatchability factor because the soundtrack is so good. Maybe I'll rewatch it. I have Amazon. That was a great, great movie. I loved that. All right, on Netflix's charts, Sex Sells, right? As the 365 sequel is a very strong number 1, with people also revisiting or discovering for the first time the first film, which is now back at number 4. The Marilyn Monroe tapes also are doing pretty well, which of course is setting the stage for the Ana de Armas movie, the NC-17 Ana de Armas Marilyn Monroe movie, coming soon to the service. Over on shows, look at Ozark Go with the final episodes. I know I owe you a spoiler review. I'm going to try and do it maybe for Friday. But I'm so happy to see it doing so well. The show ends with a clear option to return, let's say, in some way. I don't want to give anything away, but the door's open, and there's still a strong audience for it. Well, clearly, it was Grace and Frankie's time to end, as it's just at number 7 with its final season. On that note, last week's number 7, Heartstopper, has moved up to number 5. I binged that. Very charming show. It reminds me a little bit of Glow. Short episodes, very strong binge. And I hope, we got 3 seasons out of Glow. I hope we get more seasons out of Heartstopper. Over on iTunes, Tom Holland is still king with the number 1 and 2 to himself. That's impressive. He's the Disney Plus of digital. But anyway, box office flops Moonfall and Ambulance continued to do nicely on digital. They found their audience. I can't speak for Moonfall. Who here's watched Moonfall? Was it any good? But I did watch Ambulance this past week. And as I tweeted, it was actually terrific. Once you get past the first 20 minutes and you get to the bank robbery, it's just a huge adrenaline rush there on out. Sure, it's super long. Sure, it's super Michael Bay-y, but it was fantastic. Very well made. The drone shots were incredible. I thought it was great. As for this coming week, ain't nobody want to challenge Doctor Strange 2 at the multiplex, as everyone thought it was going to be a much stronger movie, creatively. It's very strong box office-wise. But that'll help with its second weekend drop that no one dared challenge it. Only Firestarter with Zac Efron dares to compete. On streaming, though, there's other stuff to watch. Candy starts today on Hulu and runs all week long. Jessica Biel has found some real success on streaming, so let's see if she does once again. Wednesday sees the return of The Real Housewives of Beverly Hills. Oh, this is going to dominate Twitter. I love this show. It's the only Real Housewives show I watch. It's fantastic. Not just does Erika Jayne continue her horrible and despicable legal scandal, but Will Smith's ex-wife, Cherie Zampino, is a new cast member. She's not a main cast member, but she's like a friend. That's fascinating. And Will Smith is still very friendly with his ex-wife, so that's going to be interesting. That show has the best luck with the news events and what happens with its cast members. Also on Netflix, you have original movie Operation Mincemeat, along with another true crime doc. I think this one will be big too, about that infamous fertility doctor who ended up using his own stuff on his patients and being the father to many children secretly. Thursday, Hacks returns for season 2. Remember, Jean Smart was winning every award possible. She was the female Ted Lasso. So this is their season 2, and Ted Lasso season 2 was not as strong as season 1, and I've watched the first 6 episodes of Hacks, and unfortunately it's the same here. I think Deborah Vance actually becomes very unlikable as the season goes on, and I haven't seen the whole season, but I think they make some bad choices. And a new series, Savage Beauty, debuts on Thursday on Netflix. Then on Friday, The Essex Serpent on Apple TV with Tom Hiddleston and Claire Danes. The Lincoln Lawyer becomes a series on Netflix. And then we've got 2 original movies this weekend, too. Rebel Wilson's Senior Year, also on Netflix. And then the Disney Plus original movie, Sneakerella. I think, that could actually maybe do pretty well this weekend. Let's see. And that's this week's Movie Math. What have you been watching? What do you plan to watch? And now that you've seen Doctor Strange 2, how many times do you think you'll rewatch it in theaters? I know many of you had plans to watch it a billion times, but now that you've seen it, how many times will you pay to watch it again? Or are you going to wait for Disney Plus? And also, are some of you been waiting? Are you going to go see it now and you didn't see it opening weekend? Just very curious to hear your thoughts on that as well. All right, share those thoughts down below, subscribe today, and of course, as always, you can check out some more videos right now.